Hume, I agree with you. But what my concern is, I don't know the full context.
If it goes beyond.
If it goes beyond. Like, Edgar, again, between you and me, he was kidnapped while he was on house arrest. Like, the officers that were with him were held up and he was kidnapped. And after talking with Edgar, that was so that he could go and have a meeting with the Faceless because he refused, and so they kidnapped him instead. So what I'm worried about is it's the 4 days thing, the 3 days.
Wait, well, hold on. What happened with Barrick when he got taken?
That's what I'm saying. He said that Edgar was one of them. One of the people that was torturing him was Edgar.
And then the Faceless went and had Edgar kidnapped from house arrest?
Yeah, but obviously when Barrett was kidnapped, it was a long time ago. Yeah.
Right. No, I understand that. I'm just... Oh, jeez, that's...
And then there's another issue, which is Barrick entered as the bail presiding judge for Lang Buddha's case. Because Lang's getting charged with, like, 2 counts of first-degree murder. And Barrick... Actually, he wasn't the presiding judge, but somehow Barrick was involved, and now Lang is also on house arrest with Edgar. And, again, it's second-hand information, but I heard that Lang didn't want bail. Like, he was not interested. But somehow, through Barrick's involvement, he's in the same house as Edgar. Now, this brings up more concerns because, to the best of my knowledge, both Barrick, or all of them, Barrick, Edgar, and Lang have had problems with the Faceless, or they've worked with them, and they're all marked. So that's like, you know, is it a coincidence, you know? Or is there something more there? So that's why I was asking you, you know, does Barrick seemed alright lately? I was worried that, you know, something might be going on. I don't know.
He has seemed fine to me. I've had a few conversations with him, and every time he has seemed like himself. What I will say is, I don't know if you heard, but remember at the courthouse when I brought up, you know, the money for the house? I don't know if you heard I think that's when Barrick said it, but I don't know if you had heard, but he had said, he made a comment regarding he would be living alone.
Oh.
And it didn't sound like oh, I have the house back to myself. You know, it was like very sort of bittersweet, if you will.
Hmm. Okay.
And I don't think Barrick should live alone given the circumstances. The other thing that I think is worthy of mentioning is, number one, obviously the very nature of everything here. Kane, not Kane, Faceless, right? All sorts of crazy stuff. But additionally, let's not forget that the Faceless were discussing, or not discussing, but targeting the DOJ as a whole. Like, there were situations where judges were getting on duty and we had to go to Chiliad. You were there for that, weren't you?
Yeah, I was there.
And so it's not like, I mean, yes, obviously Barrick was targeted to some degree, but every judge to some capacity was targeted, which I think is important to mention in a situation where if there's an angle here of proving some level of like bias or conflict or anything like that, just nearly every judge is going to be conflicted to some degree.
Oh yeah,
and
I know. I dealt with it because I couldn't get subpoenas.
Honey, I know how you are, and I know you'll take it into account, but I just want to reiterate, like, if there is something small that Barrick has to do as a judge within his judge capacity, for example, ensuring that someone can stay on house arrest, I think that's a small ask for assuming if there is a debt, right? Like, we're kind of under the assumption that someone's holding something, you know, over him.
Mm-hmm.
if that goes away as a result of him granting somebody house arrest in a situation like this, to me, that's a no-brainer. Because, honey, I hate to break it to you, but do you know how many helicopters have flown over the prison, swooped in, and done a bunch of stuff? The answer is quite a few, from my understanding.
No, I get that. I get it. And I'm not even saying that this is what's happened. It's just that, like, I don't know. It's just questions without answers at the minute. And it's throwing up red flags. So yeah, I don't know the context. I don't know the situation, and it just, I don't know. It's giving me the heebie-jeebies, I guess. You know. So yeah, I don't know whether
I wish I could remember my conversation with Barrick specific to the whole like feeling like you owe someone because they get. Oh wait! I remember using a term like second lease on life. Okay, I'm trying to piece things together here. I want to say it had something to do with, and I don't know if it had to do with this kidnapping, but like whether or not. Oh my God, there's just so many fucking things. It was like, I'm trying to remember how it worked. I know for certain I used the term like second lease on life, and like, it's gonna piss me off. It's on the tip of my fucking tongue. Like, if I had to assume, and again, I'm not certain on this, it was something like he was given a second lease on life, under the understanding that something would be done. And my conversation with him had to do with like explaining, as long as you are okay with doing whatever it is you are being asked to do, right? Where the consequence of not doing that is you lose that second lease on life, whereas you would have never had that second lease on life to begin with. You have to figure out what that threshold is for you. Does that make sense? I just don't remember if it had something to do with the faceless directly, or I'm assuming so, considering he was kidnapped. But again, I made it very clear to him that like he's the only one who could determine what that threshold is, and as long as he's okay with it, then yeah, if the ask of him is something so small that in the grand scheme of things it doesn't change him or affect him as a person, then yeah, it's an absolute no-brainer. But if it's something that he wouldn't be able to live with, then realistically, there was a temporary second lease at life where the end result is something that would have just happened earlier had he not have agreed to do something and then didn't, and then
right,
like
it makes
there's
sense
nothing to really
me,
lose there to a degree.
But it doesn't make sense in the context of Edgar and the feather and everything. Like him.
Okay, so these happened at. So the feather conversation happened on the rooftop of the Noose building, and then it transitioned into having this conversation. And the thing is, he just wanted my opinion. Like he was just asking for my stance on it.
Then that is definitely kind of making it concrete that it wasn't to do with Edgar and the feather, which again I think is concerning, because like he wasn't given like a second lease of life by the people that kidnapped him, at least at that time, because they fucking strapped a bomb to his chest and nearly died. So then the question is like, where did that second lease of life come from? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Turn around and drive towards the vault. I need to show you something while we're talking about this. I don't know. It's possible that it's something that never happened. It didn't happen yet, maybe. and it was just a hypothetical because again, this was very much so during the conversation of you being missing, the discussion of feathers, and oh, there was a deal, essentially to where um I could be wrong here, but from my understanding, the whole like feather thing, although I'm certain there was reference to Edgar, from my understanding, the deal was to, and again, not deal with not Kane, but the deal was with obtaining the fourth and fifth feather. I think Barrick has the fourth and you have the fifth, or it was something to that extent that would result in you returning. Um, Even though, from my understanding, it would have been intended for Edgar and Edgar's return. So I don't know how this multi-deal thing would have worked. At least that's my understanding of it now. It's I don't know, it's confusing. Don't take this left, take the next left. Like it was essentially Edgar was tied into this needing 5 feathers to return, and then if Barrick was able to secure that, essentially the deal on the table was that he'd be able to secure you returning, was what I gathered. Okay, it's been a little while since we've had this conversation, but again, that's kind of what I remember to some degree.
All right. Yeah, listen. I don't want to mistrust Barrett, but at the same time, that gut feeling that I get when something's wrong is pretty strong right now. So I need to figure this out, or at least trying to eliminate.
To your left.
The click levers?
That always been there?
Been there for a while, I think.
You know the one across from the old Hayes?
Old Hayes.
Mechanic shop on Boulevard del Perro.
There's one there?
This is what I'm saying. And there's an office in the back.
I mean, it's a pretty big franchise, honey. You know, I won't worry about it.
They don't have any employees.
Hello? Anybody
no
home?
one's ever working. And there's an office there. There's a safe.
I can. Nobody's here. Well, this is strange.
They leave it all unlocked.
What does WEF stand for, do you think?
Wait, where's that?
On the file. The red file here. Top. No. To your left. Under the safe. And then top left box.
Oh. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Probably shouldn't be in here. Papers.
I think you have valid concerns, but I don't think.
Sorry, you don't think what?
I don't think you need to worry about Eric doing anything crazy that he wouldn't otherwise do.
That's what I'm hoping.
Like,
Yeah.
this is giving me the vibe of when Snoopy was trying to convince me that you had made a deal and was like telling me all of these things, and I had to look at him and go, yeah, I'm going to be honest. If I heard these things and I didn't know a person, I think there would be a fair assumption that, you know, they probably made a deal. But I know Richard. And I feel like it's safe to say I know Barrick and he wouldn't do anything crazy. Now, do I think Barrick would weigh the pros and cons of a situation? And if he had to do something that on a technicality fell under technical corruption, but was such a small, tiny drop in the bucket of everything else that fucking happens.
Oh yeah,
Would
I
he
totally
do
heard
it?
about that.
Yeah, probably, and he probably should, and I think most people probably would. Like, as long as the consequence isn't somebody else getting hurt in any sort of egregious way, like, I'm sorry, but it's worth it. That's just how I think about it. Like, unfortunately, honey, if we weren't dealing with half of the crazy fucking shit we're dealing with, I would easily agree in a fucking heartbeat. Like, there's a line and that can never be crossed. But when that line has become so muddied as a result of all of the moving aspects of everything going on, I think at that point you have to sort of acknowledge that if someone has to do something that is less than fully ethical, uh, might be the right call if it means something comes to a complete stop and doesn't happen again with more severe consequences. I think that's how I see it.
I, you know, I want to trust that Beric wouldn't do anything, but I think I used to say the same thing about Jack, and I probably would have said the same thing about Jenny too. There's loads of people that we've known and we've trusted to do the right thing that have broken that trust, and I don't know.
There's a difference, though. Um, I think with Jackie, um, I don't necessarily want to say his hand was forced, but he was definitely pushed away. And I think that sent him over the edge. So it's this next thing to the right. Right
Did you ever
here.
speak to him?
No. To this day, I don't think he knows he shot at me. Careful, there's a pursuit. Honey, careful.
Did
But I think for me, with Jackie and Jenny, like, it was 5 years, honey. It was a long time, right? People are bound to change over that period of time. The thing is, Barrett came back, and I don't know if you remember, but he was pretty much homeless. Looked like he's been living in a homeless camp, like unkempt. It is probably the word. And so when I pointed him out to Turner that one day, like, I was taking a big risk, because pointing at someone with a big backpack, the largest beard I've ever seen, just and finding out that the man was on an island for years, just and couldn't even speak the same language as the people on the island, and survived and eventually returned.
that was his fucking
And then came
story?
back and did as he did every other time we were on duty with each other, and then became the chief of police with chains attached to him that unfortunately worked against him, and then immediately transitioned from that to being a judge. I don't know. That's not someone who I think to myself, uh, whether or not I have to second guess their decision making
Yeah,
ability.
no, you're right. You're right. You're right. I think I'm just being overly cautious.
No, no, no. I think you should. To be clear, I think you should, as long as you do so with the understanding that, like, you know, through a lot. He's been through a lot.
Yeah.
Everybody involved has been through a lot. And I know, honey, I know how you are regarding sort of ethics and corruption and whatnot. And this isn't exactly an appropriate, you know, hard line in the sand scenario.
Sure, yeah. Okay. Well, I appreciate you hearing me out and answering some stuff anyway. Obviously, if you get some bad vibes, let me know.
Have you spoken to him?
I spoke to him the other day, actually, and he was kind of talking about putting his name in the hat for director of the marshals. So I told him, if that's the kind of thing
Holy
that...
fuck, honey, get him fired.
What's that?
Get him fired. Draw the line in the sand. Get him fired.
So he can be the director or not?
No, so he doesn't become the director or be a judge. I'm trying to save his fucking mental, honey. Holy fuck. The man just wants to help everyone. He needs to help himself.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I agree with you. I didn't necessarily tell him to do it, but I did kind of, imply that he'd probably have a good chance.
Did I ever tell you what? I think I may have said it at City Hall the other day, but I told Barrick to his face that I would not be voting for him for chief of police again.
Mm-hmm.
And that I felt sorry that I had recommended him for the chief of police.
Yeah.
Because it very clearly took the sort of the wind out of his sails,
Oh yeah, for sure.
But then he joined the Department of Justice, which was even more of a dumpster fire. So I'm convinced he's just into pain at this point and suffering.
Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah.
Because who would subject themselves to that?
You'd be surprised.
I've been trying to convince him to just rejoin the police department.
I don't know whether
For a protection witch.
I saw that. Yeah. Honestly, shame. If she finds one, you let me know, okay?
I saw Beatrice today.
You did?
Working at the hospital, yeah.
Maybe I'll speak to Beatrice again. Maybe she can get me some fucking, protection.
All right. Well, I love you. Also,
love you too,
PD
honey.
has a meeting in an hour and 45 minutes, so we're probably all clocking off duty at that time.
Fantastic. Is it like... Oh, okay. She's on Zoom?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
I'm sure there'll be a recording if you need it or whatever.
I don't know. I don't know whether I'd be given that. I'm not PD.
But I mean, shouldn't y'all be privy to what we're doing as a PD?
Probably, but I don't think they'd be very happy if we just turned up without invitation.
Actually, I want your opinion on something. FOIAs.
Yeah.
According to our SOPs, we have 48 hours to submit our report in regards to a situation, pretty much regardless of whether or not they plead guilty or not guilty, right?
Sure.
If a FOIA comes in same day that a situation occurred, and we have 72 hours or up to 72 hours to fulfill a FOIA, am I the only one thinking it's crazy to pretty much have as short as a 24-hour window to fulfill that, because officers have 48 hours? So if the FOIA comes in immediately, you literally have 24 hours to send that off, because you have to wait 48 by default for officers to finish their shit.
Would you... Yeah, but it's still 72 hours total, ain't it? For the FOIA?
No, because you can't fulfill it in the first 48, because officers have the ability to put their statements in. You see what I'm getting at? Situation happens right now.
Yeah.
I have a lawyer representing someone, and they go, I'm going to FOIA the stuff. And they put in the request right then and there.
Yeah.
The FOIA has to be fulfilled in 72 hours of that time, right?
Yeah.
Officers from that time have 48 hours to put their statement in.
Mm-hmm.
Why would I ever submit the FOIA prior to the 48 hours, knowing full well officers had the ability to, within our SOPs, to write the statement? So if I wait by default 48 hours,
Yeah.
there's only a 24-hour period in which that FOIA can be fulfilled before exceeding the 72 hours. I think that's problematic.
But what part? Like the ability, like if you're off off shift that day, that you can't come around and fulfill it, or what's the issue?
Yeah, pretty much that.
Yeah, but then you have to get it done early, and you have to push people to do it earlier.
Honey, I hate to break it to you, but it's not going to get done earlier, because in the large-scale situations that get FOIA'd, the gang-relateds, the VAFs, and all that stuff, those are situations that realistically, like, are so complex they wouldn't even go to bench trials.
No, I get it.
Because there's so much fucking shit to go over. There are so many officers. There are so many statements. Like, these semi-hour long conversations, or not conversations, but processing of evidence and people can stem 2.5 hours sometimes, which pushes people towards the end of when they would be working.
I think that the issue is with what you're kind of saying is I get the concern, but the legislation is the legislation, so that can't really be changed unless you kind of get with the mayor's office and things like that, and I doubt they'd want to change that. So realistically, the only thing that's able to be changed, the only variable, is the SOPs. So maybe it needs to be... Hello, King. So then maybe I'd suggest that if a FOIA gets requested during an incident, then that 48-hour period needs to be brought down to like 24 or something like that. Like the time period needs to be shortened so that people get their reports in. But also, at the same time, like, if not everybody's statement gets put in that's non-essential, I don't think that's the end of the world, I'll be honest with it. And it gets FOIA'd. I don't think that's the end of the world. As long as, like, the primary officer... And
let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Because this is the important aspect. Is it fair to call something an active investigation if all statements are not complete?
Okay, my question would be, what if I'm like asking you about that case, I'd ask you what's the investigation? What needs investigating?
Well, the other officers' statements.
Yeah, but that's not an investigation, though. They've just got to finish it.
No, it's an investigation.
Yeah, how? Articulate.
But honey, I'm investigating what happened.
I'll take the stage 3.
I need the other officer statements.
All right, I got them.
Thank you.
To figure out exactly what they seen.
I think that'd be a pretty... I'd like this to hear what the judges would say about that, you know? I think there's definitely like there's definitely a Matt Rhodes petty special for sure.
Okay, to be clear, I don't think it falls under active investigation. I'm just thinking of like how vague it could be, because I can see articulation in the aspect of like someone got away, and maybe in the statement of someone, like someone described something. In that case, maybe, and then we'd find out in 48 hours, because that's the SOP regarding statements. But you know, without that, I mean, I don't know. Espinosa, I'm gonna check my car real quick. I think that's all I had. I don't want to keep you.
Yeah, I think it's a valid concern. Don't get me wrong. I think your hands are tied a little bit with the legislation now.
Active investigation, honey.
Right, listen,
Actively
if you want to try that, then go for it, man. See what the DOJ said.
All right.
Is somebody trying to FOIA something?
Yeah, Roach is basically bringing out the concern is like, let's say someone gets arrested right now, and the lawyer's like, I'm FOIAing this. So then they make the request. So then per SOPs, you got 48 hours to finish it, and you got to wait for everybody to put everything in. And then there's only a 24-hour window between that report being finished and then the FOIA needing submitting. And so Roach is bringing up like that's not a big enough time frame, or you know, a reasonable time frame to get that FOIA submitted. So he's trying to, I guess, work that problem out.
Yeah, active investigation.
Could you put
how
them
much?
in
How
the
much
car?
you charging him, honey? How
yes.
much you charging him?
Richard,
don't
I
even
gave
know
him
what
my
stage
whole.
force go for.
Listen. I
Oh
gave him
yeah,
my
honey.
whole.
While you were MIA, and houses were potentially going up, he sent me a good chunk of money.
How much? How much?
He sent me like $700,000 or $800,000.
That's
Once the
it?
property
Okay.
came up.
What do you mean
Oh
that's
my
it?
god!
Oh,
What
no,
a
no, honey,
cheapskate, man.
Honey, to be clear, that's not for if somebody else, but that's if it got, foreclosed. So it would have been the original market value,
Yeah.
not $2.2 million for a house on Roy Lowe.
Yeah.
Why don't you have money, Dark? I know how much field directors make.
I do. I sent it to Rhodes.
Daisy, he was dealing with stuff. He was unavailable. Always available for me, but unavailable in the moment at this time.
Wait, I got
I
a
was
question
only
for you.
available for search warrants, and I made over $1 million.
Yes.
Don't tell Craig that, because have you seen the impeachment set up right now?
I just statute of limitations. Also,
I mean,
I was
yeah, you're not
available for
wrong.
my job, so.
That's true. She was available.
You know how Ventura got that house that you were talking about? What house was it, honey?
On Fudge.
On Fudge? Okay. How did he afford it? Was it expensive?
I don't believe any of those houses are expensive.
Wait, which one? Which house are you talking about?
Honey, we can literally check.
Yeah, I didn't look. I'll be honest, I'm too lazy. They just Rose mentioned this morning that Ventura got a house or something on
Oh,
on the
yeah, he's my
foreclosure.
neighbor.
So the houses on Fudge are all from 200 to 300 and something grand.
Are those new houses?
No. These are ones that we're talking about. One that Ventura had purchased when they had gotten foreclosed on.
Nice little snatch.
Pay more attention to the foreclosures because there's some good deals in there, I bet.
They probably immediately get yoinked.
They do.
It's
Also
like a
true.
matter of like 2 minutes.
Jesus.
Well, Espino's Mosley's. I meet you there.
Honey, you got any
That's good.
food?
Yeah.
I do, yes.
I'm hungry. Thank you.
You want nuggies or a spicy chicken sandwich?
Oh, a spicy chicken sandwich. Thank you.
Are you toasty?
A little bit.
So what you get for running me over?
I have a impact as well, so let's head over to Mosley's.
What the hell?
All right.
What?
Bye, honey. Love you.
Bye, honey. Love you. Oh. Right. We need to put this gun away. Chicken mama, remember? Just... Yep. And let me run this gun for some DNA. So. I just finished, and I forgot to call you, so I'm glad you called that.
Hey, Dark. I'm just letting you know, Abigail just had the fastest fucking case of her life on a corrupt cop.
What happened?
She got an anonymous tip that a police officer leaked a murder investigation by texting the full report to somebody. And in less than 7 minutes, we had it resolved with definitive
Was that
evidence.
the fucking Nathan Warren thing on Twitter?
No.
He said someone said something
Nathan
earlier
Warren on
about
Twitter?
like FOIA or something. James Rue, I love
no,
him sent
this...
FOIAs that I didn't request it.
Oh God.
I might have to contact him.
Possibly.
Okay, so who
possibly.
was it?
Well, no, it's already been resolved. It was Richard Chop. It's a murder investigation that's less than a day old, and like Remy is actively working on a subpoena in regards to that murder investigation, and now that her whole murder investigation's been, the report was exported and texted to somebody.
How?
And we have a copy of the report that shows it was exported by Richard Chop.
Well, how do you know it was exported?
Because you can literally just put it, like, we can see who the last person to export a report is.
How?
You just download it again.
What do you mean? You download what?
the report. You go open up the MDT and download the file again. But
You're
you
gonna have
don't.
to teach me how to do
You
that.
don't hit. Yeah, I'll have to teach you how to do it. But I downloaded a fresh one and it showed it was last exported by Richard
Oh, I
Chop.
think I know what you're saying. So you basically like you can format the download link without exporting the file, and then it will show who it was let.
Yeah.
That's fucking smart. Okay.
Yep. And if nobody has ever exported it, you just won't get a kickback. It'll just say there's no valid
There's
report
no file
until somebody hits that. That's how I did the research on the
Shit.
Oshira one, because Oshira, like, I figured out which ones which ones had been exported.
Yeah. Okay. Who is Richard Chop? Who the fuck is that guy?
LSPD officer.
Is he like an officer or a cadet?
Full officer.
What the fuck? What's the report number?
CHOPP. The one that was leaked.
Yeah. Actually, I've got the report.
It's 21508, but you can see it in my report too. I have a state marshal report. They have a commander report. It's
Oh,
linked in there.
you've spoken to the commander already.
Yep, already passed on my mate. Like I said, it was the fastest investigation I've ever seen. Of like, oh my god, somebody leaked a murder investigation. Oh well, here's literal actual proof in the system that this person's the one that did it. Cool, easy.
What the? That's crazy.
Yeah.
Does Abby have any idea who the tip was from?
Yeah, she knows, but it is a anonymous. It's someone who wanted to remain anonymous because they were like, this seems fucked, and I don't want to let people know that I'm the one that tipped them off.
Sure. I'm just thinking about if you've got evidence of that guy's phone needs to be fucking subpoenaed.
Yeah.
Hold on, what's the number that it was? So is it, you got evidence of the text message, I assume?
What do you mean?
Because you said it was text to somebody, right?
I don't have that on hand.
Yeah, if we get that, because I'm wondering whether it's the same number as the one that's on his profile, or the guy's got a fucking boner phone. Either way, I think digging into that guy and subpoenaing whatever phone was used is, I'd love to see what else he's been fucking up to.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, tell Abby good shit.
Yep, she earned her pay for another week.
All right, I'll catch up with you soon. All right.
Yeah, all right.
Bye.
I just added someone called Axel Svevis. Who the fuck even is that?
I added him. So, it's MC...
You didn't add him, unless I...
Fuck, I didn't save. Yeah, hold on one second.
Put the pictures
It's
of...
MCC...
Now, if you take with a
Are you doing
51
it special or
more,
is it gonna be
so I appreciate you. Thank you, Neptune. I appreciate you. 2025. 3. Strawberry X Adams Apple. 3rd April. Doc found a gun in the road. No DNA.
That's Papillon. Oh, I didn't know.
Ugh, class 1. There's no class 1 pistol? I guess not. Glock? Weapon? The fuck? Firearm? I guess. Firearm retrieved? I don't know. Do not be alarmed. I'm attempting to pull a weapon.
Oh my god.
Damn,
It's fine.
this thing's fucked.
It's fine. It's a fuck.
Yeah, I just found a random gun on the street down on Strawberry, but it's completely fucked. Like the rifling falling apart and everything.
Yeah.
Can't even fire it. The specifications. That's such a shame because like, what about if it's a fucking motor weapon? You know what I mean?
Well, that's what sucks. I'm gonna be honest, because it's happened before. People have found a person with a broke, like, you know, a firearm that's been, it's kind of going bad, looks bad, and you can't really run it. So it's like, what the fuck? Do you do?
Yeah,
It's
like
if
I can't run
has
it.
something.
We should have like a guy that can
There
just
needs to
fix
be
him up a tiny
something,
bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Just
Enough
a
for
little
us to
bit, just
shoot
so you can-
down range. Yeah.
Or at least maybe he could do it. Like, hey, here's a ballistic casings and, like, you know, fucking projectile or something. But yeah.
Strawberry. Okay. Might be a strange question, but I'm not able to run the gun. But it is showing up in the report.
What do you mean?
Like the
What's the report number?
21572. So I can't shoot it to check the casings, right? It's all
Okay.
scratched off, but I guess the technicians have been able to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't know whether to ignore that. I think I might.
I ignore it. I would ignore it. I would
Yeah.
ignore it. It's one of those
All right.
things.
We got a lot. We got some shit to do today.
Row, you're
Neptune, thank you for donating $20 to the PC fund. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Shit. Thank you, Neptune. New PC Tune TM. I'm actually gonna have a look tonight. I was having a look at it yesterday, but I'll have a look tonight as well. It's difficult, man. I've got fucking analysis paralysis, you know? I'm so excited to get a new PC, though. Like, just have a fucking fresh start. And just have the shit I need on here. You know? No more fucking issues, I have, like, considered... I don't know whether to... I don't know whether it's worth the hassle to kind of use my old PC once I get a new one. I think I'll consider it down the line for, like, a 2-PC setup. But I don't know whether I'll do it or not because I've heard the issues with it. What did Craig text? Craig said, "I'll meet with the governor this weekend. I need you to be there to take the plane if he goes out and can vote at us." Someone surprised me with one from a year-old laptop to a tower. Big difference. Yeah, man. 100% did. Don't make the mistake that I did. And when I was 12... Greg said, fucking thank you, Dark. I knew you the best selection for the fall director. Yeah, when I was like 12, 13, when I first got my PC, I can't remember actually how old I was. I think I was like 13, maybe 14. Don't make the same mistake I did and not know anything and go to fucking PC World and buy a Hewlett Packard Tower pre-build for a gaming PC. Don't do that. Don't do that. It would be my advice. And my poor parents, knowing nothing about it, were like, sure. Yeah. That is literally the PC I have right now is built from that PC. It was torn apart and swapped out. I think the hard drive I have now is the same hard drive from back then. The hard drive I have now is probably, realistically, God, how old am I? That hard drive is probably like 12 years old, 13 years old. That's disgusting. I know. And it wasn't, I'll be honest, it wasn't until, I'd say, 5 or 6 years ago that I put an SSD in this thing. I was running GTA. I was running every game off a fucking Hewlett-Packard hard drive, man. It was not. It was not good. I remember loading into League games with my mates, and it was like, "Going on, buddy? What's going on?" I see you, because back in the day when League would like show you like the percentage of people loading in, and I was like at the back of the pack, and I was like, "I'll be there soon, guys." Do you see the 990 Samsung 4.4 terabytes M.2? Fuck off, dude. That's massive. How the fuck are they doing that? That's insane. I haven't seen that, no. I have not. I bet it's like 300 quid or something like that. 400 quid. Let me have a look. Now I'm curious. You going to Harry Potter Studios? I'm jealous. I haven't been yet. Neptune. Enjoy. Let me know how it is. Me and Corky were talking recently about potentially going down to London for a couple of days and taking baby Sock to Harry Potter Studios. Mainly for me. Mainly for me, though. What am I looking for? 4 terabyte M.2 drive? I'll have a look at Amazon. Oh my god, it's only 200. Okay, I say only, but for value for money, it's 260 quid, which is probably what, 320, 350 bucks. Dude, that is incredible value for money. That is insane. Wait, $279. Okay, is it the fucking, is it sterling or is it US dollars that is not doing great right now? Which one is it? Because I think the exchange rate in my head is worth a bit different. Bo? Yeah. Yes, Jaro. Me and Coca were talking about that too. Well, I don't know how we're gonna do it yet, but we've got to get Baby Sock to choose her Hogwarts house. I've seen people do it where they like put out like scarves or fucking teddy bears or something once they're crawling, and then they can choose it. Those with more than gold. I saw that, like a fucking $100 bill is literally like worth its weight in gold now. Which is crazy. You know what I learned for the first time? Like yesterday? And it kind of, it didn't blow my mind, but I was like, damn, never really thought about that before. How gold can only come from space. That kind of like got me thinking. Like all the gold we have came from space. I was like, damn, that's pretty crazy. She used to choose a Pokemon starter. I don't think either me nor Corky have played Pokemon. For my two, yeah. Yeah, fucking formed in the like a heart of a dying star, and it sounds like something out of like Lord of the Rings, doesn't it? Really, it's cool. Listen, I am a Ravenclaw, okay? I can't remember what Corky is. What is Corky? I think she was a Hufflepuff. I think she was a Hufflepuff. Are you building or buying a pre-built? As both a self-imposed dumbass and also a father to a 6-month-old, I don't have the time nor the patience to build my own PC, so I'm going for pre-built. I'm not a Hufflepuff, no. I was put in... I've done 2. I think the one I did when I was younger, I was a Gryffindor, but when I've done it again, I was a Ravenclaw. Which I was very happy about. Not because I want to be smart, because I figured I was the Ravenclaw. And it's also the best house, so. I did a redo, yeah. Alright, I'm gonna run to the bathroom, chat, and I'll be back in a sec. Did I hear a beep 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 beep? Oh.